Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. This particular story is called The Stowaway Helper, written by Fiamma Galathon. We had realized that we had a stowaway somewhere in the third month of the journey. It normally would be a problem, but if they managed to evade security for 3 months and never made any mess or excessive noise, we concluded that it was probably fine. Well, we weren't entirely wrong about this. The first time I managed to get a glimpse of our accidental passenger was when I was carrying some crates with equipment back to storage. It was just for a split second, 2 luminous eyes in the dim hallway, a bit of movement out of the corner of my eye. I startled, but they only skidded away, not paying much attention to me. They weren't violent or malevolent. Probably. Hopefully. The mechanic reported that someone organized the tools in the mech lab unprompted, which is unheard of. The mech lab was a huge mess most of the time. The evidence we found around suggested that it was our stowaway. They even left a weird pictogram on a drawing board, high enough that a normal crew member would need the ladder to reach. Then a lot of little things started happening around the ship. A cleaned room there, a fixed leak here, and the bored AI that giggled when faced with the question, where did the shiny new booster for the engine come from? Sick crew members swearing they saw somebody check up on them at night, singing softly till they fell asleep. It seemed like a weird creature that had hidden in our ship took a liking to us, enough to dote on us like a mother hen. We started calling them Helper. Helper gradually grew less and less cautious when sneaking around the ship, sometimes allowing us to see them. Rumors spread that they were big, tall, with 2 eyes and long limbs, moving fluently like a shadow in the night. Every time I glimpsed them in a better light, a chill went down my spine. I knew logically that they were kind and nice, but my instincts always whispered to me that they were a danger. They seemed to like me a lot, though. Sometimes a soft chuckle reached me when I was rambling around the food crates. From above, high from the underceiling, nicely wrapped pockets of rations somewhat appeared on my desk when I wasn't looking after a long stretch of work. Too neat and precise to be made by anybody of the crew. At times, at night, I could hear soft creaking noises of the hallway floor groaning under the steps of someone heavy, and an eerie, softly sung lullaby echoing down the hall in a tune that I never heard from any culture. The scientists were excited at the prospect of having an accidental passenger for an unknown species on board. I was somewhat worried, to be honest. If they were from an undiscovered new species, how could we be sure that they would have enough food that was actually healthy for them on board? One day, I was tinkering on a piece of turbine, trying to get it to stop clicking at random intervals. This sound annoyed me to no end, and probably meant something was stuck in the fan. I growled when it jammed, a muffled curse escaping me. I felt like crying. A deep space depression caught me finally that week, and we had another half a year before we reached our destination. Over the sound of my hiccuping breath, I noticed the floor groan behind me. A gust of warm, lightly wet air hitting the back of my head, and I froze. The footsteps stopped, and a deep, lilting voice sounded from just above my head. Hey, need help with that? Helper's accent was atrocious, their voice box barely managing to make the correct sounds. But they were still unmistakably speaking in my birth language. I yelped, jumped from the desk, and turned, the screwdriver held defensively in my hand. My first chance to see them in full revealed things that had been better kept in the shadows. Helper looked wrong, like if somebody took a proper normal person, stretched them out, and painted the thing that resulted from that in a weird clash of colors. Their eyes were too sharp, too bright, too light, their hands just a tad bit too spindly and sharply edged. And they were big enough that they needed to bend their head down, even in these high, airy rooms of the ship. I screeched in fright, squeezing my eyes shut. Helper made a soft, broken noise and skittered back, the floor groaning under them. Shh, don't be afraid. I'm not, they groaned, probably searching for the right appropriate word. I not hurt people. Little people, you could not cry, please. The scratchy sound of their voice and the broken grammar nearly sent me into a bordering on a hysterical laughing fit, my sanity slowly but surely slipping away from me. My name is Jahaher, not little people. Little people is a plural too. It should be little person, if you want to be precise, I found myself saying on automatic, startling at the delicate trill of affirmation from Helper. Nice meet, Jahaher. My name is George. They introduced themselves. The foreign cluster of sounds at the end probably was the name. I be one of these species human. We call us human. You call you? They asked, curious.
Ah, we are Hellwolder. Nice to meet you.
I'd risk a peek and relax seeing them safely hidden by the shadows. A brilliant laugh came from the shadow where Helper hid himself, and a brief flash of white teeth and luminous eyes. Happy Altar, good name. You look friend-like. You look like a little creature from home. Good creatures, name fits. I like you. You help me. I help you. We discover space together. Good deal? They asked, and left me standing on my desk, gaping at the shadows in stunned silence.
Yeah, sounds reasonable, I managed to say,
blinking intensely. Good! Now, need help with the machine? The eyes in the shadows blinked back at me.
No, I think I'm good,
I said weakly, jumping off the desk. I go now then. I, if need, yell in storage. Will come. The door opened a bit, and a spindly figure slipped out, leaving me with a jammed turbine and my heart threatening to jump out of my chest. End of story. Story number 2, Featherless Bipeds, written by Hansen III. Among all the creatures of the universe, there is one commonality between them all. We love to fly. We are made for it, formed by our histories on our respective homeworlds. What does a terrestrially evolved species love to do? Stay on the ground like they were supposed to. You should be correct if the universe operated logically. There is, however, one anomaly. These featherless bipeds that stand out like a sore thumb everywhere they go. I'm talking about humans, of course. Creatures with dense bones and legs and arms made for running on solid ground rather than soaring. So, how come they walk amongst us, the ones built for flight? It was a dream as old as their civilization to fly. One does not need to look long for myths of humans gluing feathers to themselves with wax, or motion pictures of humans taming beasts with wings, riding on their backs through the sky. It has even found a way into their language. Free as a bird, for example. Their flags are adorned with creatures calling the sky their home. The symbol of wisdom in ancient times was an avian, the owl. An eagle, another avian, has adorned many military uniforms and seals throughout the ages. Insane, if you think about it. Evolution should have thoroughly ingrained a deep fear of heights in them, for they should never see anything else but the solid ground beneath them. There are such individuals amongst them, feeling terror and sickness at the sight of distant ground. And still, a considerable number of them throw themselves off cliffs with wings made of plastic, for fun. The wish to fly is and always has been inherently human, but nature is cruel, denying them this for generations. Undeterred, they worked through the ages, tinkering and crafting until the first humans were set free, flying in beasts of metal, canvas, and fire. It only took them 66 years after their first flight through the air to go and travel through the void of space and landing on their moon. 66 years. That is only one generation of them. A boy who witnessed their first flying contraptions when he was little could see humanity walking on the moon, way faster than anyone else in the galaxy. They had tasted the freedom that we had enjoyed since our beginning, grabbed it, and never let go. What impressed me the most, however, is how much better they are at flying through the air than our so-called naturals. The machines they use, called planes, can fly through the air at several times the speed of sound. The record for the fastest flight amongst the rest of the galaxy is only 30% of the speed of sound for that species' homeworld. It is not far-fetched to say that they have beaten nature at her own game, evolving for flight faster and better in some regards than any of its creations ever could. I quite like these humans. Yes, they may not be avians like myself in body, but their spirit soars higher and more freely than any of ours. End of story. There is a new legend on the horizon. Blueberry Cat has taken the T6 Patreon spot. Thank you very much, and I'm sure that I speak for everyone when I say that. I would just like to thank our T5 members, Lord Azrakel, Ambrose Cattell, Quantum Wednesday, Drexoon WRE, Blueberry Cat, Cam Maxwell, Casper Arnholtz, Bushmaster 177, and Leslie 517. Thank you very much.